to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. However you're connecting with the show, we appreciate you for finding us on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on internet live streaming radio on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're with us, thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, once we go live, you can find us in the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and we just added, I believe, Podchaser and Boomplay, so you can find us on even more outlets by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Coming up first, of course, it's a Wednesday, which means it's Dolphin time, and inside of Dolphin time, we bring you the Dolphin Dive monthly. And this Dolphin Dive is going to be featuring our continuation of our Road to D1 series. And that Road to D1 series will continue here today with Moyne Dolphins men's basketball head coach Nate Champion, who will be joining me momentarily live, picture-in-picture, to speak on his team's specific trail to Division I. Then we'll jump into the Jaguars, because this morning during the show, they're going to be unveiling their plans for a new stadium and what all of this stadium of the future is going to look like. They made a ton of upgrades in the last decade plus to their stadium that they currently have, and I've been down there for the better part of 12 years, going on 13, so I don't think they need it, but they're looking at doing it. We'll discuss that. And in hour number 2, we'll speak on college realignment in general with a commissioner that has seen it probably more than most, in Mike Aresco of the American Athletic Conference. And we'll talk about their spring meetings as a conference, as well as their new chapter on July 1st, where they will welcome 6 new institutions as full-time members. So a lot of great stuff coming up here on the broadcast. First and foremost with Dolphin Dive, Mr. Nate Champion. Nate, how are you?
Good, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And Nate, I mean, you and I have spoken about this kind of through the process, if it were to happen. How did you navigate and kind of prepare yourself for, okay, if we stay D2, I'm going to do this. If we go D1, I'm going to do this. How do you parallel them both when you didn't know exactly what was going to happen? How were you prepared for either or?
I think the big thing for us was just focusing in on our culture and what we have going on here at Lemoyne, and knowing that translates to Division I, Division II. It didn't matter which league that was. Just really focusing in on what we do and doing it at the highest level we can. And I think we have a really good group of guys too. So for us, here in men's basketball, it's the perfect time to do it. Just with the guys that we have coming back, we have an older group, and we have some guys that have already been at that level. So for us, it kind of helped having guys that can kind of handle this transition and as we move forward, just creating the culture here at Lemoyne that we've continued to build and making sure that that's at the forefront of everything we do. So for us, it was less, if we're going D1, we're acting one way. If we stay D2, we're going to act another way.
Yeah.
It was just really focusing in on what we do and what our program's about.
And when you say that, I've had other coaches at Lemoyne in this Road to D1 series say similar sentiments, and that's, hey, when we're out there recruiting, we're not recruiting Division II. We're recruiting Division I caliber players that happen to play for us in Division II. So is that something that, you feel as well, kind of going off of what you said, that you've always looked for guys that could play D1 that maybe fell through the cracks, that maybe somebody didn't see enough tape of, or whatever that may be? Have you always kind of gone after the Division I guys, so to speak, that happen to play Division II?
Yeah, I mean, the caliber of play that we always look at is, at the highest level we possibly can get. And I think the biggest thing for us, though, is recruiting guys that fit here, in the system that we play in and with the school, and in Lemoyne overall. I mean, our guys that we have returning, we have 3.3 overall team GPA. So, you're dealing with a high caliber kid in general, and that's something that we really focus in on. Lemoyne being a high academic school is something that, you have to get guys that can get it done in the classroom as well. And the nice thing about that is that usually translates to the court too.
And Nate, for you, this is a place that you know all too well as an alma mater. Did you ever think that you were going to see Lemoyne become a Division I institution after being a Division II student athlete there and a student there at Lemoyne? Did you ever see, when you go back to your days as a student and a student athlete, could you have ever seen this coming?
I always thought it was a possibility. I mean, when I first got here as a student athlete, the baseball team and women's lacrosse team was a Division I program. They were in the MAC for that time, and they competed. They were at the top of the league or top half of the league. And I didn't really understand why at that point, we were proving that we could play at that level. But I get it. There's a lot more that goes into it than just a couple teams doing well. So, I always thought that was the possibility. And then, there are rumors about us going the other way for a little while. I wasn't here during all of those talks, but, I'm glad that we made the jump and we, are a Division I institution now. And I think, it's just going to help the school overall with its growth and the mission that Linda Lemura has for the school and Bob Beretta has for the athletics department. I think it's something that Lemoyne is really going to benefit from.
And you talk about that here with Nate Champion, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins men's basketball team and an alum of the team as well. And you and I have spoken a lot over the years, Nate, about a lot of different things. This moment for Lemoyne, I'm excited about, and I've been tracking it for a year, better part of a year. So, sitting down with Dr. Linda Lemura, the president, and Bob Beretta, the athletics director, and just getting a feel for this throughout the process, what I hear in the community is they're like, wow, so happy for Lemoyne. Now they got to raise money, and it stinks that they can't play postseason. I don't like that, and I know that people's brains are prone to fall negative instead of positive, but to me, I don't see that from the inside out of Lemoyne. I see this as a challenge. I see it's exciting. You're always working, but I've seen you, I don't know if this is possible, Nate, I've seen you work more than you were, which I don't know how, but you somehow are working more than that. And, ever since that move was made, it was like, you're constantly going. But before that move was made, you and I were talking about recruiting and who you were going to bring in and the different things you're going to do. So, I see the positive of it. And I also see from coaches like yourself that you're not really changing because you're already pushing yourselves before that.
Yeah, for us, we stay consistent, doing what we have been doing, continuing to build up the program the best that we can. And I think, the biggest thing is we've kind of identified what we're about here and working to maximize that and having that translate to whichever level it is that we were going to play at. So, for us in the men's basketball office, things have been pretty consistent. We always knew this was an opportunity that could be presented to us. There's always ways that you can look at things, whether it's half full, half empty. It doesn't, you choose to look at it a certain way. So for us, we look at it as a great opportunity to prove what Lemoyne has in the men's basketball side of things. And, I think we have a special program here and we have a bunch of special guys as well. So we're really looking forward to putting them on the biggest stage and, competing at the highest level.
Why do you think you guys are ready? When you look at the roster of returnees as well as a bunch of signees that you've just had come in and the announcement that was made recently, when you look at this roster, what makes you believe that it's ready?
Yeah, I think just the way that we play and it caters to all of our guys' games. I think our recruiting class that we brought in is very talented as well. And I think everybody that we have on our team understands what our goal is and what we're working towards, and has bought into that. And you're starting to see that in just the overall culture and the leadership from the players that we have on our roster. And that's, starts with communication. Just, I know our group chat has been, very active.
Yeah.
And it's not just from guys that are returning. It's from guys that, are making their way into our program as well. And, a lot of it comes with, NBA finals talk and which guys want which teams to win and things like that. But, I think the biggest thing you're starting to see is just the unity of our program and the understanding of what we're trying to accomplish, which is, playing at the highest level, but also achieving at the highest level too, whether that's in the community, with community service. I know we were on over like 200 hours, 250 hours, something like that this year. And then, in the classroom as well, like I said before, a 3.3 overall GPA is pretty impressive. So, I just think we have the right guys. I think we have a lot of things set in place that are starting to take hold with our guys. And I think they understand that as we move forward, and they understand what we're looking for and how to prepare themselves as they come back to school.
Nate, for the message that came from Dr. Linda Lemira and Athletics Director Bob Beretta, how has that been relayed through the process? And then after the decision was made, has there been kind of an athletic department meeting of the coaches where Bob is saying, okay, this is the plan, this is what I need y'all to do? Like how much of this was kind of shared through the process, and now that the process has completed as far as the decision to go to D1, what has the message been like from Bob?
Yeah, Bob does a great job of keeping us in the loop and telling us the information that, we need to know. I'm sure he deals with a lot more than what we see, but that's why he's such a great AD. He just, understands how to relay messages to coaches and how to, put enough on our plate to make us do what we need to do, but without putting unnecessary things on there as well. Also, big kudos to him, because I know it wasn't easy for him through this process. There's a lot of questions, a lot of unknown things that were happening that, I'm sure he would have loved to have told us, but couldn't at the time, and different things that he was telling us that, he did a great job through it all, just kind of understanding, how to navigate through that. And same thing with President Lemira, her support for athletics has been awesome. And just having a few conversations with her, I'm excited for what's to come for not only the men's basketball program, but for Lemoyne athletics in general.
What makes you excited from your conversations with Dr. Linda Lemira? What is it that has gotten you amped up about the future?
Well, first off, if you speak with Dr. Lemira, you're going to be amped up in general. Just her energy is contagious. But I think the biggest thing that I've seen from her is just the overall support. Her kind of communicating and having the understanding of what is to come in the transition period. And, we're not fooling anybody. It's not an easy period of time. But at the same time, there's opportunities to make it enjoyable and to make it a great experience for our student athletes, and a way to propel Lemoyne into the future. And I think it's something that she understands along with Bob. And, especially for men's basketball, there's a huge opportunity for us. Obviously 4 years until you can play in the NCAA tournament. But after those 4 years, if you're one of those 68 teams that gets selected on Selection Sunday, that's an opportunity that student athletes will never forget, and let alone playing in the big dance. That's, an unbelievable experience, and one that I think would be really, really cool for our players, and just seeing that whether you're a 16 seed, a 1 seed, I mean, the opportunity to play in that tournament, which is so unique, um, and to possibly have your moment in the one shining moment clip at the end. Who knows? It's just there's a lot of opportunities there. There's a lot of things that can change people's lives, and just by having that experience. So I think the overall opportunity that it presents is something that I'm excited about.
Speaking here with Moyne Dolphins men's basketball head coach Nate Champion and an alum of the program in this Dolphin Dive, which continues our Road to D1 series. I'm smiling while you're talking about it because I love the NCAA tournament. And I love March Madness. I've been to the first four. So I've been to Dayton, Ohio. I've been to the national championship. So I've seen the gamut of what it's like and traveled to all these cities. And I'm just thinking in my head down the road, and that's why I was smiling, to put my Lemoyne hat on and say, hey, Nate, I'll see you out in wherever, I mean, Spokane. But, like the thought of being able to do something like that, to see Lemoyne in the big dance. I mean, like you said, 300. There's 350 plus schools in Division I, and that number grows with Lemoyne joining now. So I think it's like 354 or somewhere around there. And with that amount of schools there, you look at 68 that make it. It's less than a third. And so to fight for a moment like that, I think your one shining moment is just making the tournament. But once you get to move forward from there, we've seen teams, here in the state of New York, right? We've seen Buffalo, we've seen St. Bonaventure, we've seen Syracuse. We've seen teams make it and move forward and have some fun. Just a few years ago, Buffalo was turning some heads. Syracuse has won a national championship, and St. Bonaventure, I was with them in the first four, and their fan base traveled to Dayton, Ohio, and made that game a St. Bonaventure home game. So I think the thought of Lemoyne getting a shot and getting to move forward would be absolutely incredible. Did you ever think, I know we talked about you thought it was always a possibility of D1, but did it ever cross your mind as a player or a coach or an alum in general that you could be the person guiding this team into a potential hope of making what some consider the greatest tournament in sports?
I mean, I'd be lying to you if I thought, when I first got to Lemoyne 5 years later, I would be, a Division I head coach at the same place. But at the same time, I've been very, very lucky in getting to where I'm at, obviously through a lot of hard work and putting myself in the right spot. But, I think things happen for a reason, and being here at Lemoyne, I know when I got the call to be the head coach, I just felt like it was an unbelievable opportunity, and it still is, and for me as an alum, it's always an opportunity. I come into work every day in a place that I've called home.
Yeah.
To be able to now lead them into the next generation of Division I and, the next steps and all that stuff. I think it's another great opportunity for me. And things don't really change for me. I mean, I come to work every day. I believe in what we're doing, and I think we're doing it at a high level. So I think things are going to work out. I just feel like now your stage is a little different. Instead of playing on a internet stream, maybe you're playing on ESPN Plus or FS1 or something like that. So it's a huge opportunity, something that I'm really looking forward to. And to be honest, I'm just happy to still be here at Lemoyne and be the head coach here. It's an unbelievable opportunity, and I do reflect on it at times. I try not to think about it too much, but being here and having this opportunity is something that's pretty special.
Well, and Nate, I mean, overnight you become a Division I head coach, and that happened with the staff at Lemoyne. What does it mean to you that your athletics director, Bob Beretta, didn't say, okay, we're going D1, see y'all later, let me go find new people? I mean, your athletic department has entrusted that when that move was made, that Dr. Linda Lemira, Bob Beretta, and company said, okay, you know what? You're the ones that have led us. If you want to be here, you can continue to lead us. I mean, to me, just thinking about that, where sometimes a move like this would be a clean slate. Instead, Bob said, no, these are the people that have led. Let's continue to lead. What does that mean to you that he's entrusted you all to move to D1 and continue to coach these programs respectively?
Yeah, I think it just shows you the overall support that we have here. Like I said, Bob has been awesome through this process and has shown, great leadership in his own right, and I think what he does is he gives us coaches the opportunity to kind of be the CEO of our programs. And with that comes his trust, and, he believes in you, and he's going to give you everything possible that he can to make you feel, like you're supported, and he does a great job of that. And along with the rest of the athletic department as well. I mean, and we have support from top to bottom, and I think it just goes to show just kind of how special our athletics program is here at Lemoyne. So, for Bob to trust in me to run our program, it shows a lot. And now it's up to me to make sure I show him that was the right decision.
When you were hired by the former athletics director, Matt Bassett, looking back and reflecting on that moment, why do you believe you're the right coach for men's basketball? Why do you think he believed that?
Well, for me, I mean, just my ability to relate with players and to coach at a more modern style, I think is something that it relates well to players and student athletes. I think the way that we play and the way that I coach, I would consider myself more of a player's coach, and that is something that we've kind of hung our hat on here at Lemoyne. And I think, for me, it's just I do the work that I need to do. I don't really beat around the bush. I don't have too much influence on social media or anything like that. Like, I just put my head down, I work at it, and I think that shows when things are moving in the right direction. We do things the right way here. We have a lot of fun, and we play at a high level, and we recruit at a high level. And, if players that want to play ball and get after it on the floor, I mean, there'll be a great fit here. If you're there for the clicks and the likes and things like that, I mean, we're just not really about that.
Yeah, and I was going to get into that, but you kind of led me here. How does Lemoyne stay Lemoyne? Because the reason why I wanted to work with Lemoyne and be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner is because of the people. It's because of how I feel when I'm there. How does Lemoyne not lose its identity of where greatness meets goodness? Because there was that fear with people that were against Division I. They said, okay, it's going to be all about athletics. We're going to forget about academics. People are going to, there's going to be egos. There's going to be this and that. You're going to bring in players that aren't going to care about going to school. All of those things have surfaced, right? People say those things. But how does Lemoyne stay Lemoyne? How does this school that I fell in love with continue to be that school where people say hello to you when you're walking up and down the sidewalk wherever you go, and the coaches are accessible, and the student athletes have wonderful responsibility and manners and care and moral value? How do we keep that going? How do we make sure that Lemoyne Division I is still Lemoyne?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like any great program or company or school, the values in which we hang our hat on here, the Jesuit values. And, it's just, I think that foundation in which Lemoyne has, you can't really break it. It doesn't matter if we were Division I, II, III, it's going to be Lemoyne, and our Jesuit values, I think the biggest one, men and women for others, like that, is shown so much here on campus. Like, I can remember the first day I stepped foot on campus as a high schooler. Came here and I left, and I was like, wow, like, people took time to like actually say hi and learn about who I was and what I was doing here and why I came from Indiana. And did I know anything about Lemoyne before? Which at the time I didn't. So, I think for me, that's what stuck out right away. And that's something that you hear constantly is, people at Lemoyne care about you. People at Lemoyne take time to go out of their way to make you feel comfortable here. And that's the foundation in which Lemoyne has. And now you have great leadership to go along with that. You're not going to change. You're going to stay the same. And yeah, maybe your publicity changes a little bit. Maybe we're in a couple more articles or on the ticker on CBS, when you're watching the Big Ten games. But I think, for us, we continue to operate as we have. We continue to be us. We continue to grow our brand and grow what we have going here. And that doesn't change just because you go to Division I. I mean, I can tell you that for us, it wasn't like, oh, we went Division I, let's recruit a completely different player. Yeah, maybe you have to get somebody that's a little bigger and a little stronger, but it doesn't mean you go away from what you look for in players. You got to stick to what you know and what works for you, and obviously adapt when you need to adapt. But for us here at Lemoyne, it's kind of been status quo. There really isn't. It wasn't like we went Division I and we were new people. Like, just been us, and I think that's something that is special here because our values and our guidelines that we go by here. Okay, so I think that's the simple answer for you.
Coming here from Nate Champion, Lemoyne men's basketball head coach in our Road to D1 series. Nate, before I let you go, you described your style, and you said you feel like you can relate to the players being a player's coach, but also in the style of play that you provide. How would you describe the style that you have as a head coach?
Yeah, I think we have a free-flowing, fast-paced offense. We play man-to-man defense for the most part. I think the biggest thing for us is we play team basketball. Whether that's on the offensive end, defensive end, we have guys that really play hard and play together and are unselfish. And I think it's a fun style of play. And last year was a learning experience because we did change up the way that our offense was. But I think the guys that we have coming in and the guys we have coming back, they're really starting to understand what we're looking for and they're good fits to what we're doing. And, the biggest thing that we do here is we have fun, and what I mean by that is like, we're going to let you play. We have structure, but you're going to have freedom to play within that structure. And, it's translatable to all different levels. So, for us, it's been fun to kind of dissect what we did right, what we did wrong last year, and go into the recruiting class with the objective to get better in each position. And I think we did that. And, a big part of getting better in each position is growing what you have. And our guys, they got after it in the spring, and it wasn't got after it as in like buddy, rah, rah. Like they got after each other, and they got chippy at times, which is fun to see because at the end of the workout, those same guys that were chippy were, giving each other, high fives and hugs and things like that. So, it just kind of goes to show what we're doing here and what we have moving forward. So, I'm really looking forward to what we're doing.
And with that, you and I were speaking off the air about who you brought in this recruiting class. And you went local. You went to Bishop Grimes. You also went not only high school but transfer portal and had a mix of it. How would you describe this incoming class? You got, good numbers here. You got a bunch of guys that are coming in. But when you reflect on this class, what were you seeing for these individuals that you brought in via transfer portal or through high school?
I think one word I would describe is fit. I think we had pretty much tunnel vision on what we were looking for. And we passed up on guys that, maybe had a little more flash or a little more, a little wow to their highlight tape when you first watched it. But when you start really digging down into what these guys can do and how they can fit in our program, I mean, those were the guys that we wanted. And not very often does it happen. You get 6 guys that were your top 6 guys on the list. So,
Yeah.
For us, it was one of those things where I feel like us being prepared for what we wanted and us kind of understanding what each person needs to do in order to fit was big for us. But also, our players played a huge role in the recruiting class too. When guys came to campus to visit, like, our guys were hanging out with them. They were getting to know them. They were making sure that they're the right fit, and that's something we entitle our guys to have. And it's not something where, they sit there and go, well, this guy could play in my position, so I'm going to tell coach I don't like him. Like that. We don't have those types of guys,
Yeah.
Our guys really evaluate when recruits come in, how they're going to interact with them, and how they're going to, things they say outside of what they're going to tell me. And it's a team effort in everything we do in our program. So I felt like not only has it paid off for us getting the right players, but it's paid off for the guys we have returning because, like I mentioned before, our group chat's nonstop.
Yeah.
Like and it's fun. It's funny. There's different things that are being said, and there's different guys that are chiming in, whether that's our new recruit from England or our freshman recruit from Bishop Grimes. Like everything is fitting the way that we want, and we understand the goal that we have for the season and what we're working towards. So I think the biggest thing for us was just getting the right fit.
You talk about overseas in England and then down the road at Bishop Grimes. What is the recruiting thought process for the future? Because I know you've been down in Florida. I mean, you're willing to go wherever you need to go, but now moving into D1, will you still keep an eye on the local circuit while you recruit all over the country, maybe the world? Is there still going to be a focus on finding that talent here in Central and Upstate New York?
Of course. I mean, we have 3 Central New York guys on our team right now: Luke Sutherland, Nate Fouts, and now Dan Garang. And it's, there's more people that we're going after too. So I think, really recruiting that throughway, Albany to Buffalo and then down into New York City is going to be big for us. There's a ton of talent there. And then, recruiting in the pipelines that we have elsewhere too. We have connections all over the country, and we just got a kid from Indiana. So, and then we have overseas in England, which, Kai was a kid that, I recruited when I was actually down at Florida Southern. So, there was connections there before. And, so for us, I think it's just finding the right people, and that can come here in Central New York, or that can come all the way down in Australia. Nobody knows. So I think it's just finding the right fit, developing the right relationships, and getting the right people here for us to be successful, and just continuing to do the work. And our staff has been awesome. I mean, I can't give enough credit to Ben Swank and Ben Morello and Antoine. I mean, those guys have been working their tails off on the recruiting end and getting our program in the right direction, going in the right direction as we transition here. So, it's been all hands on deck really since the end of the season and through the season. And I think, again, you're seeing things happening and going in the right direction. And it's not just by luck. It's they've put a lot of hard work in, and they've helped me out a lot too. So it's just something that we do together here, and that goes with Moyne too. It's kind of one big family.
Yeah, and you talked about Ben, and Antoine on the staff. Your staff at Lemoyne, for your specific sport of men's basketball, already has, a little bit more. Will there be another addition of a staff member?
There will be at the end of the summer, so
How's that recruiting going for you?
it's going well. I mean, yeah, it's always a process, and same thing goes into that process as recruiting a player. We really look into what we need and where we need to get better at as a staff, and who can come in and help us with that. So we've been kind of going through a few candidates and a few people that we know, and hopefully we can get the right guy here and continue to move forward.
Do you have on your staff right now, do you kind of feel like there's a focus of, guard, you take the guards, you take the forwards, you take the centers? Are you transitioning to that? How are you kind of splitting up and divvying up the coaching responsibilities as you look to bring in another coach?
I think it obviously will change as you add people. From 2 years ago where we had two people, and me and TK, and then, adding Swank, and we had Speedy there for a little bit, and then, getting Ben Morello and the grad assistant position, and then adding Antoine.
Yeah.
As we continue to build our staff and continue to build personnel on our staff, I think, those roles will change, but we really kind of go all hands on for, groups and things like that. We'll switch it up. Sometimes, Swank will take forwards and Ben Morello, and Antoine may take guards and wings, and sometimes we'll switch it up. But, I think as we move forward, we may go into a little bit more focus, but it's just kind of to be determined, and will depend on, kind of what we decide as a staff.
That coming from Nate Champion. I know I'm asking you a lot, Nate, but there's a lot of things to go through in the road to D1, so I appreciate you being so open to it. Before I let you go, we do have to discuss the, big old elephant in the room, and that's the postseason. Now, 2 years you have to wait to compete. Now, let me preface it by saying this. On July 1st, 2023, which is seemingly more and more as time goes by becoming a very important day with a lot of things that I'm working on. I don't know what it is about July 1, but July 1st, 2023, you will officially be in the NEC. Your program and Lemoyne will officially be Division I Northeast Conference competitors. And so being in the NEC then, you're going to be an NEC team with this upcoming 2023-24 season. But you cannot compete in the NEC tournament for men's basketball for the first 2 seasons, and you cannot compete in the NCAA tournament for the first 4. So something that Merrimack just finished up doing, and something that Stonehill has 3 more years in the NCAA and 1 more in the NEC. So I know that Bob Beretta and I have spoken about it. He asked for the NEC to do away with their conference blockage completely and to let you be an NEC tournament team from the giddy-up, to give you an opportunity to advance to the NEC tournament. Now, the NCAA has looked at it, potentially going from 4 years to 2 years, but nothing's been set in stone because of the million things that they're working on. So how do you view it? How do you discuss it with your players? And what are your thoughts on the 2-year hiatus for NEC, 4-year for NCAA? And do you believe that there's a chance that we could see this go away or at least shrink?
Well, first off, my thoughts, I mean, of course, I would like to not have to sit out at all, but that's not the way things happen. So, as of right now, it is what it is, and we can't really worry too much about that. We worry about what we do, and I think for our players, they understand it, and we've kind of talked about it in a way that there's other opportunities. You may not be able to make the NCAA tournament or the conference tournament, but you can make a CBI or a CIT tournament. So there's ways that you can make postseason and play for something.
Yeah.
So with that part of it, there are opportunities there. That would help with at least, the first 2 years until we can start playing in NEC championships and doing different things like that. As far as the reduction of years, I'll really leave that up to Bob and Linda, and they can fight for that. It's not really,
fingers crossed,
not really my job to do that. So I'll leave it up to the professionals on that one. But I think it's tough. You play and you want to play for something right away, and we understand that as coaches, and it'll be definitely a little odd, kind of understanding that if you aren't in a position to make a postseason tournament, and one of the two that I spoke about, just playing and in the last regular season, win or lose, you could be done. So that part I think will take a little getting used to. Now I will say I could get used to ending each season on a win. Not many people can say they get to do that, but at the same time, I hope that in some point that the NCAA and the NEC look at, the rules and hopefully change what they're doing. But again, I can't really worry about that. I think, there's tremendous opportunity in just being able to play at the level that we're playing at. So, for our guys and for our program, I mean, we take it in as best we can, and we understand, what we're dealt with. But the guys here knew that before, committing here. So, and the guys that we have returning, I mean, we're very open about conversations that we had in this whole process. I mean, our team knew that there was a possibility from the first time we ever heard about it.
Yeah.
Nothing that we said, oh, don't worry about it, we'll tell you when you need to know. Like, it was an open conversation, and I think with that, it allowed our guys to understand and ask questions, and the guys that are here are the guys that want to be here. So we're really excited moving into this season and definitely in the future. But I hope it changes. I don't see why you would punish teams if they can get in and they're good enough right away. Like, I think they should be able to play. But again, it doesn't matter, like, to me or to our program. We're gonna continue doing what we're doing.
That coming from Nate Champion. Niagara, Siena, St. Bonaventure, Buffalo, Syracuse, Canisius, and on and on and on. Non-conference scheduling gets me excited. What can you tell me about non-conference scheduling for your team so far?
I can tell you that there's going to be some new teams that we play.
Come on, Nate. Give me a little bit.
I mean, I think it's exciting. I think there's teams that will come into Ted Grant Court and it'll draw a crowd. And I think that's something that is exciting, and I think there's a great opportunity to create. I wouldn't say I would. I mean, create some sort of rivalries or whatever that just didn't have before.
Yeah.
Or we could revisit. I know back in the day, Lemoyne was playing the teams like Siena and Canisius and those teams. So recreating that stuff I think would be pretty cool. But for our non-conference schedule, I mean, our schedule will come out at some point here, so I don't want to give out too much, but there's definitely some excitement, especially around our program and the opportunities that we have this year.
Some coaches gave me direct names.
You're not getting that from me. Sorry.
So, I mean, I gave you a nice list, though. I mean, I think there's also Albany and Binghamton and whatnot. I'm excited for the opportunity to create some rivalries because being in Division I, there's so many Division I teams in the state of New York that the point that I was getting at is that your non-conference schedule can, within it, create some deeply rooted games, which can change the environment of a lot of your games coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're looking at it, like you have Binghamton, who's what, an hour and 10 minutes max
Yep.
away. Cornell, who's under an hour, and Colgate, who's under an hour. I mean, our closest game, if we wanted to play D2, was Roberts Wesleyan, who was, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was over two. So for us to have, three teams within an hour is pretty cool. So I think there's a great opportunity there. And then if you get up to that 2 hour range, now that you have the Buffalo schools and the Albany schools as well. So I think, there's a different type of team and different types of competition that you can play, and a lot of excitement that comes with that.
For you, Merrimack, Stonehill, familiar faces from the NE10 that made the reclassification to Division I from Division II, like Lemoyne is, in the same conference of the NEC. So does that create, in its own kind of unique way, this like bridge of familiarity, knowing that you're going into the NEC, even though there's some changes obviously that are happening, the reality that teams that were here just a few years ago, and in Stonehill's case, a year ago, that you'll see them again?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be fun to see Chris and Joe Gallo and those guys, out again. I worked for Chris for a year, so that'll be a special one for me, getting to see him. And when I worked for him, I was a volunteer coach. Now we're both Division I coaches, so that'll be a special one for me. But I think it's great playing those teams. I think it's good to see any 10 schools doing as well as both of them have. I mean, top three in the NEC in your first year is not bad. So, I think for us moving forward, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing those guys again, and seeing new opponents too. I think it's just a great opportunity overall, for our program and for Lemoyne in general to be on a national stage and to play, at that level, and that being the highest level.
Yeah, that coming here from Nate Champion, the Moyne Dolphins men's basketball head coach. Want to let you all know here that his summer basketball camps going on June 10th, the team camp, and the kids camp June 26th to the 29th, and the prospect camp on August 13th. You can get all that information by going to natechampionbasketball.com. I also shared it on our social media. So I want to thank Nate for answering all my questions except for the schedule question. But as always,
you'll get your answer to that one soon.
I know. I know. Listen, I know you got to keep it close to your vest, but you know that I'm excited because you and I have spoken about teams that I thought over the years you could hang with over these last few years being in Division II. We've had discussions of, I don't know why this game or that game, and now that those games could be a reality, it's exciting for me. So yeah, I'm patiently impatient for it right now.
Yeah, it's exciting for us too. So, we look forward to getting the schedule released and having people here, at Lemoyne and elsewhere, so I think, like I said, just great opportunities overall.
Nate Champion, Moyne Dolphins men's basketball head coach, in this edition of the Dolphin Dive as we continue our road to D1. Nate, as always, I appreciate you, and I think you owe me a sandwich at Mother's Cupboard, so I'll see you there soon.
All right, that sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Thank you for everything you do, Nate.
Yep, no problem.
Take care. That coming from Nate Champion one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. I'm so excited about the scheduling part of things. I really am, because there's so many things that can happen. And Nate, by the way, all jokes aside, we've known each other for a few years now. So, I'd like to think we could joke about some of that stuff like scheduling and whatnot. But Nate is somebody who, I've appreciated. He's always been good to me. He's always had his door open. And, we've gotten to share a lot of things, including breaking bread together from Mother's Cupboard. That's why I mentioned that. So, I definitely appreciate Nate Champion and the coaches in general at Moyne College. I mean, they've been wonderful. I've had fantastic experiences getting to know these programs. And the student athletes, I got to give it up to the coaches for this and their staff members. These student athletes that they find are not just competitive and good on the fields and courts and tracks of life. They're really good people. And the fact that these coaches have, maybe you trip up and find a good person by accident, but when I'm doing these dolphin dives, and it doesn't matter who I'm talking to, it doesn't matter what sport, it doesn't matter what age, if they're a senior or a freshman, man, woman, swimming and diving, basketball, volleyball, soccer, softball, baseball, so on and so forth. Everyone that I've talked to has been wonderful. And they've all had their own unique story. And they've been so generous of their time. And and then when you see them after just one interview, they'll, come up to you, shake your hand, and give you a hug like you've known them forever. So I want to credit, I know we talked recruiting with Nate. I want to credit all of the coaches at Moyne for finding some really class act people, and I appreciate that more than most things. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back to continue Wake Up Call. Plenty coming up inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Go to Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com anywhere in the country and order right from there and have it delivered straight to your doorstep. You can also find your way to Ma and Pa's on 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. You could go and buy any size tin that they have. And by buying any one of their tins, you get half-price refills for the rest of your life. And you can mix it up with different flavors when you go back in as well. And, of course, they have a premium line of kettle corn that you can go out and get today. And I suggest that y'all do that because it's fantastic. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for a fast break. And when we come back, inside of the broadcast, we'll have the opportunity in just a few minutes to be welcoming the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference. Speaking of realignment and reclassification, I would venture to say that most people don't know it as well as he does. Mike Aresco of the American Athletic Conference, as they step into their 10-year anniversary, will be with me shortly on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake for Carvelanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student-athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and so thankful to have the amazing guests that we have the pleasure of having over the years. So inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin', it's now time for us to jump into, and I know you see that Jacksonville logo, and we will get to the Jaguars here as they look to unveil their plans around this time for the future of their stadium and for the future of the Jaguars. It's time to bring on the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, Mike Aresco, who is no stranger to the broadcast. Mike and I have spent 10 plus years around each other because I knew him when it was the Big East at the time, and the Big East had football. So with that being said, it is my honor and my privilege to have Mike Aresco here with me, picture in picture, the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, live from Irving, Texas. Mr. Aresco, how are you?
How are you, Dan? Good morning. We're approaching our 10th anniversary, and you were around at the beginning. And frankly, the Big East was a year before that, so it's really been 11 years totally. Yeah. But we had great meetings out in Vail, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
With you.
And it's great. I can't believe. I guess I want to start here. Can you believe that we're sitting here today after you and I met 11 years ago, spoke when the conference was transitioning into the plan, and now it's 10 years later? Can you believe that this is flowing into the 10-year anniversary for the American Athletic Conference? I honestly feel like that time when we were talking arm in arm about the future of this conference, you were starting this conference, I was starting my own company. That was almost 11 years ago for me. We're heading into 10 years for you. That move back then that so many people thought, what are they doing? Are they going to succeed? How are they doing it? Is it mind-boggling to you as it is to me to think that it was 10 years ago that we were in Rhode Island talking?
Well, it seems like ages ago, doesn't it? It almost seems like another life. But I didn't intend it to be the way it turned out. When I joined the Big East, I thought that there might be some stability in the system because, there'd been some realignment already. And I thought if we can get a TV contract done, the Big East can stay together. And then we lost Notre Dame 2 weeks after I joined the Big East. And then they were not a football member, as you know, but then we lost Rutgers and Louisville replaced Maryland in the ACC. So we lost Rutgers and Louisville. At that point, the Big East basketball schools became extremely frustrated. They'd been dealing with realignment for years, and it really didn't have much to do with them. It was really all about football.
Yeah.
So they broke off, and at that point, it was a total disaster. You said, okay, how are we going to? I didn't know whether the other schools would want to stay, in what was going to be a new league and would have to rebrand. We didn't have a name. We were a true startup. We didn't have a name. We didn't have a logo. We didn't have a TV deal. We didn't have a place for our championships in basketball. We lost Madison Square Garden. It was odd that we had to give up the name in order to keep some of the money that was in the conference coffers, because the Big East did have a right at that point, or the departing schools had a right to negotiate for the name. That's very bizarre, as you know. I found more bizarre things in that, situation than I ever dreamed.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I looked around and said, we had Louisville and Rutgers for 1 year, and I thought that'll help stabilize. And let's get started in 2013 and rebrand right away, not have the Big East basketball schools sitting around for a year and everybody talking about how they'll be leaving, that kind of thing. It just didn't make sense to me. People said, well, that's too fast. You won't be able to do that. And we were able to do it, not a problem. And then we had some initial success, really, actually more than just initial success. We had, UCF win the Fiesta Bowl in convincing fashion against a top 5 Baylor team.
Yeah.
And we had UConn win the national championship in basketball that spring. So that all of a sudden jump-started the conference. And believe me, without that success, who knows? The media wasn't on our side. They were acting, they acted like we had no chance. We were dead in the water. The Big East basketball schools, on the other hand, were getting a lot of good publicity because, they were returning to their roots, if you will, that kind of thing. So we were dealing with a lot of negativity at the time, but not among the membership. And that's what I think helped us. I put, a positive, positive approach on it, and so did our membership. If it weren't for people like Gerald Turner, who incidentally is the only president remaining from those days, Renew Couture would have been, but as you know, Houston's leaving for the Big 12. They're the only presidents that were there then, and they held firm. And if they had left, let's say they had defected to the Mountain West, for example, which was a safer harbor at the time, right? I'm not sure we would have survived, but we did, and it's been an incredible 10-year run. We really have been, despite the snark sometimes, and despite some of the things we've had to endure, the headwinds. This has been a P6 conference. Now we're not going to use that term. It really, we haven't gotten the kind of official traction with it. But more than that, I don't know that there's really a P5 anymore. And I think it's better to probably just brand us as a power conference. But point is, we've been right there with those 5 for the 10 years, which most people didn't think we could do. We actually made the playoff, which everyone thought was impossible, team from our league. In addition, we made the Final Four. We've made the Elite Eight. We've won 4 out of our 8 New Year's Bowls and should have won 5. Cincinnati should have beaten Georgia. In fact, Kirby Smart said after that game, he said people take shots at their league, but this was a quality team that we played, and a really, really good team, and they were. And when you look at the great players, Sauce Gardner and all the great defensive backs they had, James Wiggins. You obviously had Desmond Ritter. You had great players all around, receivers, running backs, linemen, linebackers. Tremendous group of players, and many of our teams had that. We had the UCF 25-game winning streak, which still should be a subject of a documentary someday, because you had the Shaquem Griffin story, you had the Mackenzie Milton story, you had the fact that they beat Auburn in the bowl game, and Auburn was number 7, had beaten Alabama by 2 scores. So anyway, Dan, it's been a tremendous 10 years. I appreciate it. At the beginning, you did not doubt us. You felt that we had an opportunity to do something, and very few did. People, you could look back, and we. I think at our 5-year anniversary, I think Sports Illustrated said we were one of the better or the best stories of the last 10 years in college football. But nobody expected that back then.
Yeah, no, and it's the people, Mike. At the end of the day, it's the people. You root for the people. And yourself, Bernadette, Chuck, as well as, so many people of the staff of the American Athletic to go along, and, Tom and whatnot, and then to go along with that, the coaches. When I was standing in the room in Rhode Island, I'm rooting for people that just, hello goes a long way. I think people forget that, and you have always given me the time. So, I think that's been important, and that's been an integral part of, what we've done is you've given me the time. You've always respected me, The coaches have been great. The institutions have been great. The experiences have been great. It says something about, it's not just that the American pulled in these schools willy-nilly. You brought in schools that have good guest service, we'll call it. They know how to interact with people. They know how to talk with people. They're growing. They're expanding. They were doing things with their stadiums, with their campus, with their coaches and their student athletes. And then you look at the schools now as the new beginning here, as you head toward a 10-year anniversary, perfect timing to bring in 6 full-time institutions. You look at Rice and what they've done. By the way, Rice's campus looks like, it looks like you're going on, they call it Hogwarts, but I say it looks like you're going like into a castle, like you're going to vote for something that's going to affect the entire world. So there's Rice and there's UTSA, and what can I say about Lisa Campos and everything that she's done there? Then there's UAB, who goes through a self-inflicted death penalty of their college football program, and ever since then has been bowl eligible. Then, we look to UNC Charlotte and how they're growing and being in the city that they're in and doing the things that they're doing and getting to have that competition in different sports, including men's basketball, and just seeing the vision from Mike Hill. Then, I look at North Texas and I look at the Mean Green, and I know that there's been a change in leadership in the athletic department, but you see how they've pushed and what they've done and getting into the NCAA tournament, getting a victory over a quote-unquote Power 5. And then I look at FAU and you say, okay, UCF is leaving, but now you have what hashtag winning in paradise is, and you're getting FAU coming off of probably the greatest spotlight that school has arguably ever had in its history. So new beginnings look pretty darn good. And again, it's the people. And I've gotten to know the head of the athletic department at all 6 of these institutions. And in different cases, I've gotten to know some student athletes and some coaches as well. So, I'm going to say it because it needs to be said, especially in 2023 in the world we live in today. I support the American Athletic Conference, and I have supported the American Athletic Conference before a name and a logo because of the type of person you are, Mike, because of Chuck Sullivan, because I've spent so many conversations with him, because of Bernie, and because of the people that are a part of the institutions. You made me want to root for you, and that's why I have. Now, am I an impartial broadcaster? Absolutely. Game to game, will I say I think this team's going to win over this team? Yes. I'm not a homer pick. Aside from that, when we talk about people and institution and connection, I don't know if there's a better conference when it comes to how I have been treated for the last decade, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, I'm pleased that you feel that way, Dan. And I've been really always happy to join you, and appreciate the kind words. Also appreciate the nice words about the staff, because we do have a great staff. And Chuck is still with us, and he's done some incredible work. Bernie did in her day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Dan, early on, I realized in talk. And I'm not just saying that, you knew about us, you knew about the conference, you cared about our teams. And that's what's important to us. We think we were the next level group of teams. And I don't think people fully appreciated that, and appreciated that they could get to the highest level very quickly, which they did. I don't know if it's going to be tougher now. We had a couple of things going for us. We had great coaches, and we still do, fortunately. We had great players, and we still do. But, you had a year in residency requirement, so people didn't just transfer willy-nilly. They couldn't just go. And that, I think, kept a lot of our great players with us for sure. And it kept a team cohesion, and then you didn't have this NIL business where you just buy players. That's all it is now. It's not NIL anymore. We can't kid ourselves. And so you have that now to deal with as well. And you have the money gap is bigger, but I don't think that's ever affected us. We had very little money at the beginning because we couldn't get the kind of TV deal we wanted, because we were in complete disarray. Let's face it, back then. So now we have a very good TV deal relative to who we are. But as you know, there's a big gap between us and some of those so-called P5. I'd like to get rid of that term because I think it's ridiculous. When you win like we have, Tulane beat USC, they're a non-power team, right? That's just the most ridiculous thing. But the point is that gap is growing. I don't know if it's going to affect us, in terms of recruiting budgets and other kinds of things that you need to compete. So we'll see. But I'm optimistic that the next 10 years can be, as good or better than the last 10. But let's face it, it has been a remarkable run and as I said at our league meetings, I didn't play a single down. I didn't shoot a single basket. It was all the teams that did it, the investment they made, the great players that we had that didn't shy away from tough competition. If you've probably looked at our schedule this year. We have 25 games against some of the best teams in college football: Georgia, Clemson, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Alabama. I mean, you name it, we're playing everybody. And Oklahoma twice, I think. We've done that for years. We don't shy away from it. We'll see how it goes. But Dan, appreciate the support that we've had from you, and I've enjoyed talking to you over the years enormously because again, you know what you're talking about. We've had a great friendship, and you've been a real supporter of the league, but not a homer, as you said, for the league. The league had to achieve something. I didn't promote something that wasn't real. Yeah. When we beat Auburn in that bowl game, when we beat Baylor and they were ranked in the top 10, and when we beat Florida State with Houston, when Cincinnati made the playoff and gave Alabama a creditable game, when Cincinnati should have beaten Georgia that day, when Memphis played Penn State right to virtually a draw toward the end and lost a close game. And then when Tulane beats USC, and not to mention Houston going to the Final Four, the Elite Eight. We've had a lot of great teams in basketball. UCF almost beat Duke when they had Zion, remember? Back then, Zion Williamson was at Duke. And so consequently, we've had a lot of success in basketball, a lot of heartbreak there too, a lot of tough, close losses. But, our Olympic sports have been strong. Our women's basketball, we won all those championships with UConn. They've left the conference, but, we've got some great basketball programs in USF. Jose Fernandez is a legend. East Carolina came from, Kim McNeil came from virtually nowhere to win our championship. So and we've had great baseball, terrific baseball in this conference. East Carolina's come within a hair of making the College World Series twice during my tenure. So anyway, been a great run, and really been glad to appear a number of times on your show and talk about it.
Yeah, I think you have residency here now. So I think that's safe to say. I just can't believe it's been over 10 years that we've been talking, but I guess, there's a lot of truth to time flies when you're having fun. So, and I'm excited this finally, I've waited, has it been 4 years now that we, due to COVID and everything and realignment, that we're going to have an on-site college football and on-site college basketball media days in Texas. And so I am patiently impatient for those moments and excited to do that and to get to sit down with you and get to talk in person. And I know that there's not lobster, but Mike has promised me, even if he doesn't know he did, he promised me like exquisite barbecue. If you're going to not give me lobster, then I need some good Texas barbecue sauce. So Mike, even if you didn't know that you promised me that, you promised me that.
Well, Dan, you mentioned Chuck Sullivan, who runs our media days, our football media. I'm going to have to talk to Chuck, make sure he's got some barbecue on tap because, we don't do the really great function we used to do in Newport, Rhode Island with the lobster clam bake. It was a great thing. It just didn't make sense anymore. We're not in that region anymore, and it was a tough thing to continue. It really was interrupted during COVID. Unfortunately, we probably would have kept it going for a few more years, but now we're Texas centric. We've got, as you know, 4 teams in Texas with the new configuration. We've got a team in Oklahoma. We've got a team, in Memphis and Tulane, which are nearby. We've got a basketball and Olympic sport team in Kansas, Wichita. It's the 2 Florida teams, Charlotte. We're geographically we're a lot more cohesive now than some of the conferences that were historically geographically cohesive. So we've got some good. Some good geography now, but we're not really we're not a Northeast team, conference anymore. So we don't. And the clam bake, while it was a lot of fun, it was hard for people to get to it. the Texas thing, we're going to have it at Texas Live, and I think in Dallas, where we have a lot of our, a lot of our media in the area, and I think the teams will bring their media because some of them can drive and others can get there pretty easily. So we're hoping for a good turnout. That's going to be July 24, 25. And it's the first time we've met in person in a few years, so I'm happy to see that. It's the first time we had our coaches meet in person out in Vail, this year, and they all loved it, and we had a great time. And we talked a lot. We were very realistic about what we see are the problems, the NIL situation being out of control and other things. But it was a really great meeting and great to reconnect with Tom Herman, for example. Hadn't seen Tom in a long time. I love Tom. He's a great guy. Reconnecting with him, got to spend more time with Mike Houston, who's done an unbelievable job. He chairs our coaches group. And then, of course, we've got new coaches, Trent Dilfer, Alex Golesh. We've got, I don't want to forget people, Kevin Wilson. There's some others that we've got. Brand new coaches, and they'll do a great job. We're really looking forward to it. Got Biff Poggi, fascinating hire, right, at Charlotte, and Mike Bloomgren's done a great job at Rice. They're coming into the league, and Eric Morris at North Texas. Jeff Traylor has done a spectacular job at UTSA, and so I think that the league is in good shape. This is going to be an interesting year. We've got a lot of really tough games early, but if we can establish ourselves, then I think people will realize that the league is very similar to what it was 10 years ago. A lot more potential than people probably thought. When we lost these three teams, everybody said, well, that's the conference is going to take a step down. And I don't think that's going to be the case in the end. Again, there are a lot of things that are changing in the way college football is run, and none of us know how that's going to affect anybody as you look ahead. And also, Dan, the elephant in the room is realignment. I know we don't have much left on our call, but the point is realignment is there. It's real. The shoe may drop soon. We don't know. You've heard a lot of rumors. I don't pay much attention to rumors anymore, but I'm definitely bracing for it because it could have some impact on us. We don't know yet. That's just the way these things work, with the so-called domino effect. So we'll see how that works out also.
Yeah, and that was something that, because we've heard UConn's name come up. They just rejoined the Big East, but football's independent. And we've heard SMU's name a lot, which is, within the American Athletic. We've heard Memphis before as well. So what did you take away from the spring meetings that you had for the American Athletic before I let you go? So bring me into those spring meetings, because I know you alluded to some things, but what were kind of the takeaways, bullet points from the AAC spring meetings, and how are you looking at realignment in this moment? Do you think that there is a better than not chance that the American could be losing a school or two, because there are rumors out there all the time? Just how viable are some of these things out there?
Yeah, we just don't know. It's possible. We don't know what's happening with the Pac-12. We don't know what's happening with the Big 12. Big 12 commissioners have been very aggressive about talking about expansion. Even the ACC, I think there's probably some stabilization there based on their meeting, but you just don't know. And I don't get into the affairs of other conferences. I don't have any idea what they're really doing or thinking. It's not really my business in some ways, other than as it affects us. I think it's a reasonable prospect that there'll be some realignment coming. We don't know for sure. Maybe there won't be any. Remember in 2016 we thought there would be, and turned out nothing happened. But the meetings went really well. We had a lot of things to discuss. In basketball, we talked a lot about our scheduling, what we can do to generate more tournament teams. As you know, we're going to be deeper and broader than we were, even though we're losing Houston. Hate to lose Houston and love Kelvin Sampson, but Cincinnati too, great program, a lot of pedigree. UCF made some contributions, but we're going to be very deep, and we didn't expect to be that deep. Obviously, FAU emerged, and now we've got North Texas and UAB. North Texas won the NIT. UAB played in the champ game. Charlotte was in the CBI and won it. We've got Rice came on and developed a good program. So along with Memphis and Wichita, new coach, and a lot of new coaches in our group. Tulsa has great pedigree. Tulane, Ron Hunter's done a great job. USF hired Raheem we'll be fine. I think we're going to be good in basketball. We talked a lot about football and a lot about the portal and a lot about how we retain our players and how we deal with all the different changes. NIL, of course, is front and center. Talked a lot about our tiebreakers. We're a 14-team conference now, Dan, so we got to have new tiebreakers. We got to make sure we're firm in that area. So we had a lot of great discussions, and it was mainly, though, a chance for a lot of people who have not met each other to get to know each other. When you know somebody, it's totally different in the way you deal with them, right? Yeah. And we're going to have coaches now dealing with each other. We want camaraderie in the conference. I saw the beginnings of it again at our meeting. I think we're going to have it just like we did before. And it's really important that people just get to know each other. And that's what this meeting accomplished, as well as a lot of issues. We talked about a lot of things that probably wouldn't interest your listeners. But the point is, getting together. We got to play a little golf together until we did get rained out after the 10th hole. But and then Admiral Buck, who is Sean Buck, who's the superintendent of the Naval Academy, will be transitioning out after a distinguished career in the Navy and as superintendent. And we definitely wanted to mention him, and I did play some golf with him. He is one great person, and we appreciate the service to the country that he's rendered. We've had some great people in this conference, as you know, in the Naval Academy. Their student athletes are the best of the best, as you know. But we've got great student athletes at all our schools, and look at Mackenzie Milton. I saw, is going to be an assistant coach at Tennessee, and there's no greater story than his recovery from that horrific injury, and playing against Notre Dame in that game against with Florida State and coming back was heartwarming. And again, we've had a lot of great moments in the conference and a lot of great people, but the meeting was a chance for all these new people, not just new administrators from the new schools, but a lot of new coaches that we've got, basketball and football and women's basketball, to get together and get to know each other.
Yeah. So, we'll look as things move forward with realignment and all that reclassification. In my hometown, Lemoyne is going to be in the NEC now, moving from D2 to D1. So we are seeing those Division II schools move as well. So a lot going on, as always. Over 10 years of us talking with American Athletic Conference Commissioner Mike Aresco, and there's never been a dull moment. I don't know how Mike sleeps. Probably, in a cot right in the office. But with that being said, Mike, I appreciate you as always, and I know you got to get hopping here, but I'll look forward to talking with you soon. And of course, if anything comes up, we'll catch up, and seeing you in just a few weeks as well. But thank you for the work that you've done in the American Athletic Conference, and I'll make sure I email Chuck today and give him my menu for media days.
Yeah, please do. I'd love to stay on with you. I could stay on all morning, all day, just talking about the various things relative not only to the conference but to college football and college sports. So I really appreciate it, Dan. Yeah, we've got. I go from one meeting to another. I'm chair of the conference commissioners group. This is my last meeting. I've had my 2-year term wrap up. And so there's always something, and we've got some, I've got to do some wrap up from our annual meeting as well. So I'm sorry I can't spend more time with you, but you've been very generous over the years, having me on, and we've often spent as long as an hour on the phone, and I enjoy it immensely. So again, have a great, rest of, I'll probably talk to you before, the summer's out, but have a great rest of the summer. I hope that, you have a great July 4th holiday, and, we'll see, Dan, pretty soon. The camps will open and everything starts all over again. But thanks again for having me. It's always been great to talk to you, and I appreciate your support of the league, and good luck with your show. Thank you.
Thank you, as always, for your kind words, Mike. And like I said, as I always say, I'll work to earn all those kind words, because you're very generous with them. So thank you for all of that. And I look forward to talking with you soon, and I'll see you in a few weeks down in Texas.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you. Take care.
Thank you. And coming from Mike Aresco one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate Mike being here with us, the commissioner of the American Athletic Conference, and it is it's crazy how quick time flies and it is when you're having fun, because time was flying around somebody that I enjoy, someone who's always been candid with me, who, I built a great relationship with. And it's about the people. It's about the people when it comes to the American Athletic Conference, when it comes to their front office, when it comes to, everything that they've done. I mean, it's the people, and I can't say that enough, because there are institutions that are affected by not having the right people. And then there's institutions that are affected by having the right people. And I definitely see the right people in these, in the American Athletic Conference. And I've been spoiled, to be completely honest. That's how I feel. I feel like I've been spoiled to have the wonderful people that we've had here within this conference. And they've been great to me. They've treated me with the utmost respect, and I can't thank them enough. I really can't, for all the work that they've done, and for letting me have unfiltered access for over a decade. Really the entire time that they've been a conference, I've had access. So, I think that's why time flies. I think that's why it feels like it's so quick, because it's just been a wonderful experience. And Tom Fenstermaker, when I said Tom, I wanted to make sure I mentioned him specifically, because Tom has been great with men's basketball as well. So I want to give him a shout out too, and everyone that I've interacted with at the American Athletic Conference. I really want to thank you all for the positivity that you bring forward, and everything that you've done, because the American Athletic Conference has really made my job special, even more special. I love what I do, and I do what I love. And I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't help when you have really good people that are there. So Greg said, we are just trying to get quality air right now in the Northeast. Don't realize how privileged we are until we don't have it. Yeah, it's true, man. I was thinking about going to see a movie today, and I'm like, do I even want to go outside to go to the movie theater? I did a live broadcast yesterday, and I want to thank the wonderful Baldwinsville Bees boys lacrosse team for Monday, and the girls lacrosse team for Tuesday. We were at Pizza Man. That's where we do all of our Beeville Bee shows. And yesterday for the women, girls especially, for Megan Tabor and her team to say, hey, we're going to come out, we're going to do this. School got different activities at school got canceled, and their practice got moved up 2 hours, and yet they still made it out, and they packed the pub at Pizza Man. So I can't thank you all enough for that, for coming out and doing that. So I really do appreciate it, and I love the community. I always have, I always will. Y'all are my home, and I appreciate you. We're going to take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we come back, the Jacksonville Jaguars have unveiled what their new stadium is going to look like, and I am going to show it to you right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond. You can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me, it's always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports meets life. I am ecstatic for this moment. I'm really excited to do this. So they unveiled this around 10 a.m. this morning. So within the hour, I want to make sure that I share this with you. Now, I have to let everybody know on YouTube and Facebook, I do not own the rights to this video. I am simply sharing this video about the stadium of the future. I claim no rights to the stadium. I just want to share this with everybody. So this is what it looks like, and I want to share this with you now.
Jacksonville unites us. We're all connected to this place by our beaches and our waterfront, by our culture, by our people, and yes, by our sports. Our city is on the cusp of something great, a bold city with a bold vision for the future, and our stadium is part of that.
Oh man, I just can't describe this moment. I'm gonna seal it up and live with it the rest of my life.
This transformation will become a catalyst for Jacksonville that transcends the Jaguars and the NFL, creating a revitalized and re-energized urban destination that will show everyone and remind us that we are indeed proud, bold, and committed. Jacksonville is ascending, and the nation is taking notice. We have a growing workforce. We have a robust healthcare and higher education community. And of course, we have the Jaguars, ready to defend their AFC South Division title, but hungry for more. It's our time to show the world that Jacksonville has arrived. The transformed stadium will be a shining beacon on the water, welcoming and dynamic, connecting our neighborhoods and waterfronts, and creating a new measure for what a sports and entertainment experience can and should be. Fans will enter through a tropical Floridian park into the concourse, now raised 30 feet above ground level, providing unmatched views to the city and the water. Now 4 times as wide, the concourse will be punctuated with interactive social bars and food offerings native to our home in Jacksonville. Using state-of-the-art materials and the latest technology, a shade canopy will reduce the heat factor by 70%, protecting fans from the elements. It will position downtown Jacksonville as an essential stop for the biggest entertainment and sporting events in the world. Major concerts, music festivals, international soccer matches and tournaments, and improve our community's candidacy to play host to major NFL events such as the NFL Draft. We know that our community deserves the best, and we're going to deliver the best. This will be much more than a stadium. It will lead to the reimagination and renaissance of existing nearby communities, such as the Out East neighborhood, serving as an economic generator that has been missing for too long. It will help to redefine downtown Jacksonville as a place where business and higher education intersect, with the potential of a new University of Florida satellite campus on the fairground site. It will be a driver in the growth and evolution of our industries and workforce, creating jobs, inspiring careers, and capturing the imagination of people everywhere. This venue is much more than just a stadium. It is a reflection of our city and community, celebrating the essence of who we are while casting a vision of who we're becoming. Welcome to the new home of live sports and entertainment in Jacksonville. It was always the Jags. It is and will always be Jacksonville. And we will always be Duval.
What's up? How about that? Danger. So I like it. The Stadium of the Future. So it's so this is where we are, which is really, really cool. Now, Greg, it looks like they're building on top of the current stadium, a reimagining completely, and there's been some talk of them relocating to Orlando to play their games while this is completed. But yeah, I mean, this is I think the biggest thing that fans could take away from this is it's a stadium that is going to provide some cover for them from the elements, because if you've ever been to TIAA Bank Field, I love going there, but I'm in the press box. I'm in air conditioning. I have glass protecting me. I have an overhead thing. Like, the sun is out, but I'm not feeling it. If you're a fan, you're in it. You're feeling it. It's there. It's a lot. It's hot. I mean, I know just walking into the stadium, I have to think about what I'm wearing because, I want to dress up. I want to look nice. Walking into the stadium, you start sweating like crazy just to walk in. So imagine being there for 3 hours with the sun beating down on your body. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to bring your kids and babies and whatnot. So, I think the biggest thing is the fact that this new imagined stadium of the future for the Jacksonville Jaguars is going to provide cover from the elements. And I mean, of course it looks nice, and I'll be breaking this down as we go, but I mean, this stadium is I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of what the Vegas one looks like, looking like a spaceship. But I mean, I've been in Jacksonville, like I said, for many, many years, and seeing what this is going to look like, and for the fans, the team store, the concourse, how they're going to build it up. I think that's really cool. So, I mean, and Greg says I could see a boost in overseas games for the Jaguars as they go through the building process. And he agrees it's very Vegas-like. And so, but yeah, I mean, I think they're testing it out right now, Greg. I mean, having 2 games in the United Kingdom this season, one being an away game and one being a home game, and then announcing recently here that they're going to be partnering with Ireland as well. I think Shad Khan is a smart man. He's a smart owner, and I think he's setting himself up to saying, okay, we're going to be reimagining the stadium, and in the meantime, we're going to test out 2 games in the United Kingdom to see what that feels like, knowing that they're going to have to play games away from Jacksonville, and then saying, oh, we're going to partner and extend out to Ireland, knowing that they're going to be losing games in Jacksonville. So I think he's definitely setting himself up for the future, and the future looks bright with this stadium. I want to thank firstdowntownjacksonville.com. That's firstdowntownjacksonville.com for providing the video, as we claim no ownership to this video, and I have to say it a million times because YouTube and Facebook will flag things even when you say that you do not own the copyright and you're just sharing it. And I thought, with so many people stealing my stuff in the media, that I could give credit to someone and share their stuff, and that would be okay. But sometimes it's not, because sometimes rules are vague and they make no sense. So to YouTube, Facebook, to Podbean, and to everyone, I do not own rights to this firstdowntownjacksonville.com video, but I do own the rights to Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. I cover the Jaguars, and I wanted to share with you what the stadium was going to look like. And I feel like I have a right to do so, as so many other media outlets are going to do the exact same or similar thing. So please treat me with the respect and dignity that I deserve. And that's what I ask in a very strange internet world that we're living in right now, with internet police and all different types of stuff. Greg said, especially with the Cons connection and financial interests in the UK. Yeah, so it makes perfect sense to do this. The stadium is, I love it. I'm excited. Now, where will the Jaguars play is during the renovation is definitely a question, right? That's the question that comes up. And so seeing this, the options and different things that they could do, that's going to be the big question mark. So Jacksonville, like I said, I mean, and some people put up options of where they could play. And, so looking at this and seeing what some people have here, I mean, TIAA Bank Field, I mean, it's huge. They said that they could play at 121 Financial Ballpark. Capacity is only 11,000. It's built for the Jacksonville Suns, which is now the Jumbo Shrimp. They're right down the street. University of North Florida, Hodges Stadium, which has a capacity up to 12,000. Jacksonville Armada Soccer Stadium, which is proposed here. It's not yet built. The expansion could be to 12,000. And then we have Jack's USL Soccer Stadium, which is proposed, which could be 15,000. The Nathaniel Glover Community Field and Stadium at Edward Waters University. That capacity is only 5,000. Not going to work. FBC Mortgage Stadium at UCF, which, the bounce house, 44,206. That could make sense. Camping World Stadium can make a lot of sense because its capacity is 65,000. It's 142 miles from Jacksonville. It's located in Orlando. It puts fans by Disney, Universal Studios, and SeaWorld, and of course, by so many other things in Orlando, which is the mecca for amusement to a lot of people, myself included. So Camping World Stadium seems to make the most sense because it's a stadium that is not necessarily utilized until bowl season and maybe for some other events. The UFL, United Football League's Florida Tuskers that I covered, had used that stadium back when it was called the Citrus Bowl, and I think that would be a perfect fit. Doak Campbell Stadium at Florida State University in Tallahassee, that's 166 miles away. So people think, oh, Jacksonville's in the northern part of Florida, while in the panhandle is Tallahassee. So wouldn't that make the most sense to keep them in North Florida? Not necessarily, because it's actually more miles away, believe it or not, than Orlando. So it's 166 miles away. However, it does allow 79,560. And then there is the thought of Wembley Stadium in London. If the Jaguars move to London for a year or so, that capacity at Wembley Stadium is 90,000 people. So, I mean, obviously Wembley has the largest capacity, but I think Camping World makes a lot of sense. What do you say? I don't many of the local options with capacity under 20,000 is going to meet them in NFLs. No, it's not. So, I mean, they're trying to come up with ideas, right? And so they say, oh, well, you got the Jumbo Shrimp, you got this, you got that. But anything that's going to be under 50,000, I would say no, especially with the Jaguars having made the playoffs. And I know that the fan base showed up at least those last couple weeks. So, I think you need to have at least 50K. So you either have to go to Doak Campbell Stadium at Florida State, or you have to go to, the bounce house at UCF, or you have to go to Camping World Stadium. I think it would make perfect sense to go to Camping World Stadium and build residency there, because Camping World Stadium is a beautiful stadium that has a lot of history in the state of Florida. and in general with the Citrus Bowl. And it's, like I said, it's vacant most of the time, and it can fit over 60,000 people. So I think the one that makes the most sense is Camping World Stadium. Camping World Stadium, to me, that makes complete sense. And it puts you in Orlando, and it gives people something to do. It gives them somewhere to go and something to connect themselves with, right? Maybe UCF fans will go to Jacksonville games, you know? Maybe people will give more of an opportunity to the Jaguars that they weren't giving before. You know, you think about the NBA, and the NBA starting in October? So you have that too, where people go to Orlando Magic games. Now maybe those Orlando Magic fans that have never been to a Jaguars game, they go to a Jaguars game. UCF fans never been to a Jaguars game, they go to a Jaguars game. So, you know, people that like the NAF Arena League, Orlando Predators, maybe now they go to a Jaguars game. So I think it can make a lot of sense to have it in Orlando. I think think about it. How many teams have to relocate while they're reimagining their stadium, and they have less than 200 miles away a stadium that is in the heart of arguably the largest amusement and entertainment area in the entire country, and to some people, the world. People travel all over the world to come to Orlando for Walt Disney World. So I think that could be a huge, if it was me and the money's right and it makes sense, Camping World Stadium would be the place that I would choose without doubt and without question. Then I'm not dealing with, okay, well, Florida State has this stadium and we got to deal with the changeover, and UCF has theirs and we got to deal with the changeover, and then dealing with the small sizes of the other arenas. In the case of Camping World, I don't have to deal with a lot of changeover, and it gives Camping World consistent money for the next year or two. So I think that should be a done deal, in my opinion, because it makes way too much sense. But how many things in life make sense that never happen? Hopefully, the Jaguars and we've been in tune, especially the last few years. So maybe they'll do the thing that makes the most sense to me right now as I'm thinking about it. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for our final fast break. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So proud to be here with you, and thank you so much for being a part of the show and tuning in every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. on youtube.com, facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connecting with the show in Central and upstate New York, around the country and the world, I thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast, and it really means the world to me to have you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So God bless and thank you for that. You could find us in our archives as well. Let me jump back to those. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, and Boomplay. I got to add that as well. Boomplay and Podchaser. And Podchaser does not have an app. It's meant to be a website, so you just go to podchaser.com, find us there. You can find us on any one of these outlets by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. A big time thanks to our incredible team of partners at Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub. Carvel, where I have my own Sunday, the DT Dolphin. It is in direct connection to my exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Moyne College Dolphins. You can get your mint chocolate chip green ice cream for the Dolphins, mint chocolate chip hot fudge whipped cream cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream only at Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like. The Wildcat Sports Pub, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, the home of my exclusive breakfast sandwich. You can only get it there. The Cuse McMother is available on-site, on location, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. on 3709 James Street in Syracuse. At Mother's Cupboard, a staple of Syracuse, New York, and its history. The Cuse McMother, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. You could cut it up and eat it with syrup. You could pick it up and eat it like a sandwich with cinnamon and sugar. Head out to Mother's Cupboard and get the Cuse McMother today. Great Lakes Honda City, 317 at Montgomery Street. Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Chick-fil-A Clay, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Avicoli's, and of course we are the proud multimedia marketing partner exclusively of your Moyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with the Dolphins, AD and DT, with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, coming to you every first and third Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time of each month. Every second and fourth Wednesday, we bring you the Dolphin Dive at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with coaches, student athletes, future Dolphins, alumni, and of course, administration. We've been under-promising and over-delivering on both AD and DT, as well as Dolphin Dive. Dolphin Dive series, The Road to D1, continues with our coaches, and we'll continue to have more from that. And we have more Dolphin Dives coming up this week, so don't miss it. You can find all of our content with the Dolphins that's added to our library throughout the year on the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com and by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Dolphins, go to lemoynedolphins.com. And as always, fins up! The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are here with you in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. The Bobcats coming to you in a way that you've never seen or heard from them before. Their spotlight all throughout the year, every single month, with stories that you will not find being told anywhere else, and definitely not the way that we tell them. With men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball coming off of their inaugural season that we got to be such a big part of, and esports. We have had a fantastic time with our roundtable discussions. We just welcomed the new campus director, Mary Hawkins, to the school in a very special head coach discussion that we had, a head coaching panel with all of the head coaches and Mary getting to know each other in front of the camera. As they get to know each other, you're getting to know them, and that all got to happen seamlessly in such a unique and wonderful way. You can go back and watch that on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You can search all of our Bobcat Buzz content there on our YouTube channel. Make sure to click subscribe. And of course, you can find all of our content with the Bobcats by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com. So we appreciate you. We thank you for being out there with the Bobcats, supporting them on James Street. I implore you, if you're looking at some schooling and you have some more eligibility, to go to Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse and at least check it out on James Street. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, I thank you for tuning in today. Inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com is what's poppin'. Ma and Pa's, a fantastic venue. Make sure you get out to 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York for all of the treats. I call it the Central New York snack capital, so make sure you get out there to Ma and Pa's. No better snacks than what you'll find at Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. And a big thanks to Nate Champion, the head coach of the Moyne Dolphins men's basketball program in our Road to D1 series inside of our Dolphin Dive. A big thanks to the Jaguars for everything that they released this morning during my show so that I had the opportunity to release it. And a big shout out to everyone who put that together at firstdowntownjacksonville.com because it was a really awesome and unique video. And I watched most of it for the first time with you. I had seen just the beginning, but the music and the voiceover and everything, I got to watch pretty much all of that with you in real time, which was really cool. So thanks to Jacksonville and firstdownjacksonville.com for that. And a big thanks to Mike Aresco and the American Athletic Conference for being amazing with me over the years and giving me unfiltered access to everything happening within the conference and beyond. So much love and appreciation for that. With that being said, we're going to take our adieu for the day, and I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, God willing, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In the meantime, find me on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, and check out an all new episode of Two Mics No Filter. It used to be a segment on Wake Up Call that became its own show within the last couple weeks. You can go and see Two Mics No Filter on youtube.com / Two Mics No Filter and on twomicnofilter.podbean.com. The app, or we're also available on Boomplay, Podchaser, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and more by searching Two Mics No Filter. So check it out today. We had a new episode that aired before Wake Up Call, and new episodes of Two Mics No Filter will air before Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So make a note of that. And thank you so much for your support of Superpowered Pop, Two Mics No Filter, Comic Book Trails, Do Diz with Dan, and Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as well as everything we do in the community and around the world. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Mike. Thank you to the Jaguars, and have a blessed day. And please, please be safe. I just got a notice here that the AQI into the 300s is at 351 and is now considered hazardous outside. So just so you know, good air quality is 0 to 50, which is little to no risk. I have bad allergies, so anything that's in the 50s I get concerned of. Moderate is 51 to 100. A small number of unusually sensitive people may have a few health concerns. 101 to 150 is unhealthy for some. People with heart, lung disease, older adults, and children should limit outdoor activities. 151 to 200, unhealthy. Everyone should limit outdoor activities. Unusually sensitive people should remain indoors. 201 to 300 for the air quality index is very unhealthy, and that's everyone should remain indoors as much as possible. 300 plus is hazardous. Health warning of emergency conditions. Everyone is more likely to be affected. So we're at 351 right now, which means stay inside. Please, for the love of God, stay inside. Okay? Don't be idiots. Stay inside. So I suggest that you do that right now. And this is in central and upstate New York. So I'm putting that up here right now so that you guys have it. God bless, no stress, do your best. I'll talk with you all soon.